All right, Facebook, YouTube has informed me that I am live. I did not test this microphone before starting. Everybody hear me okay? Looks like I have 3 people watching. That's cool. Oh, there we go. Okay, can anybody confirm in the chat that you can hear me before I get going too far? Excellent. Okay, that is all I need. Then let's go ahead and get started. So thank you to the couple of you that are out there. So I am Nathan. I am Sushi Box FX. Oh man, where to start? I guess we could just start with the questions. Questions first off, because I know I'm going to forget if I don't get right to them. So Bert has been asking about the Echosaurus for guitar. Am I still making these with the FV1 shortage, or am I working on a tube version? And so the answer to that is both. So at the beginning of the year, I ordered a couple dozen FV1s from my US supplier here. He had a big stock then. So I got those in stock, and I don't build a ton of. I still have 15 or 16. So I've been keeping track of the orders and making sure that I don't oversell my FV1 pedals. But for now, I'm planning on continuing the FV1s while I can. That being said, I am also working on a tube version of the Echosaurus. And while we're here, I could also talk about Robot Butterfly. So that is the FV1 multi-effects that I've been doing. I am considering kind of both making a tube version of that and also chopping it down to limit the effects, I guess kind of to make it more, I guess, less universal, more specialized. So like I'm thinking about doing like a modulation pedal where it's still going to be an FE1. It's still going to technically be multi-effects, but it'll just be like chorus, phaser, flanger. Because I mean, it would make sense that you have one pedal that does those things and nothing else. And then I could label the knobs rather than just saying control 1, control 2, control 3. So rather than just, I know people like the Robot Butterfly. It sounds good. People have enjoyed it, but I think making less options would make it more useful personally. Because I mean, especially like in a live scenario, if you've got 8 patches, trying to remember which one is which, and then trying to remember which control controls what parameter, I just think it makes more sense to kind of slim it down a little bit and maybe have like a modulation version, a reverb version, what was the other one I was thinking? A delay version where maybe I do like a tape delay, a spring or not spring. I guess a tape delay, maybe analog delay, and then like a straight digital delay or something like that. I don't know. I haven't dug completely into it, but just kind of a thought that I'm having for the future of Robot Butterfly. So that's where I am on FV1. So is the particle accelerator 210-2 type of EQ? So yes and no. So if you're talking about the particle accelerator, oh, hang on, Bert, I'll get to you. So the particle accelerator itself depends on what version it is. So most of the recent versions are not, because I added what's referred to as a bass floor. So on typical Fender tone stacks and on the Alembic, if you turn the bass all the way off, it completely cuts the sound. I added a floor to that, so even with the bass all the way off, it still lets signal through. Skews it slightly, but it's still really close. So it's more or less a 210-2. The London Underground, which is essentially the same thing, and then also the Particle Underground, which is being released this month to replace both the Particle Accelerator and the London Underground. That is a straight 210-2. So that's the exact Fender tone stack with no mods. So that is a straight 210-2. Should you order or wait? The advantage to the tube version. I mean, tubes, obviously. That's why that's why we're here. Tubes. I mean, so Echosaurus isn't going to change a ton. I really like the core sound of it. I don't plan on changing the way that the delay itself works. I feel like the tube will improve the tone quality. I mean, it's still going to be a digital delay because that's what it is. It's a digital delay, but it's basically going to be sandwiched in between a tube preamp. So I think the tone quality will improve. That being said, obviously adding a tube is going to add some complexity, so it's going to be a little more expensive. I don't know how much yet because I still haven't. I have a schematic. I haven't even made a board layout and ordered prototypes yet, so I don't know what it's going to cost. I don't know how big it is. Frankly, I'm trying to decide if I can get away with one tube or if I need two tubes. So that'll be down the road. So I guess it's whether you should wait for the tube version or order one now depends on how urgently you need it and how important tubes are to you. I mean, I have one on my board right now because it's my favorite delay. But when I get the tube version coming, I'm sure I'm going to kick that one off my board and just roll with the tube version. So that's only you can answer that question. Oh, the video on YouTube. Do I have a video of that one? I don't remember making a video for that one. I believe you, though. I believe you. I'm sure if it was a video, I'm sure if I made a video that it was cool, but I don't distinctly remember making one. I guess I should go through my YouTube videos and see what I have demos for and what I don't. Yeah, I still need to. I know I've gotten demos for almost everything, but the FV1 the pedals, the Echosaurus, and the Robot Butterfly, I don't have. If I do have videos, I don't have recent videos for them. So there may be something up there. If there is, it's something I made years ago. Because I've done the Echosaurus for a couple of years. And then Robot Butterfly, I guess I did it as the octopus. I used to call it the octopus. But I've done that for a couple of years as well. So there could be videos that I made at some point, but eventually. I say eventually a lot. I have my to-do list is historically super duper long, and I will get to stuff eventually. But yeah, eventually I'd like to get better demos for everything, frankly, rather than just stuff that I put together as a mediocre guitarist and mediocre bassist. Eventually I mean, I have people lined up that say that they'll do demos in exchange for gear, so I don't have to pay them, which is what I want to do, but I just have so much going on that it's not really a priority right now because the demos that I have are good enough. So anyway, long answer to a short question, but there you have it. Cool. I'm gonna sip my drink because I talk a lot and my throat dries out, so I drink a lot of stuff. Excellent. All right, my day job. Can I talk about my day job? I can talk about bits and pieces of my day job. So I'm an electrical engineer. I have a degree in everything. Right now, I work for Northrop Grumman. I work in the defense aerospace sector. So obviously that means I can't talk about a lot. But the one-liner that I give to my kids when they ask what Daddy does for work is I design computers for airplanes. That's the short answer. But I work in circuit design, which obviously helps really nicely with what I do at home. And frankly, having Sushi Box going looks really good on my resume and helped me get this job. So my day job and my side job go together really nicely. But yeah, I do circuit design. I work in they call it signal conversion technology. So I basically do digital circuit design. Computers for airplanes. That's more or less the Reader's Digest version of what I do for my day job. Before this, I had a similar day job when I was in California. I worked for Naval Air Warfare Center, a weapons division in China Lake, California, and I loved my job. It was a lot of fun. It was the same kind of stuff, but I was in rapid prototyping, which as an engineer is just like the best job because somebody just comes to you with a problem and says, hey, I need this box that does this thing. And you don't just like design a piece of the box, build the box. And so, I mean, I first project I did at that job was test. I mean, it flew in the cockpit of an F-18, which like I had been out of school for like 6 months, and a piece of hardware that I designed was in an F-18 flying, and that was incredible to me. So it was a lot of fun. I really like what I do. Um, I Yeah, airplanes are just so. Basically, my interests are like guitar, bass, music, just music, all that stuff, and airplanes are like right there. It's like I love airplanes. Flying, space is just so cool. So I really like what I do, both in my day job and my night job. I just have fun all the time, and it's super exciting. So I really like what I do. The only thing that would make it a little bit better is every now and then we get contracts to work on space stuff, and I never get pulled into those projects. So I really want to work on space stuff. Okay. With the demise of PAX, could you talk about the improvements for the new design? Yes. Oh man. Um, yes. So one of the most common problems that PAX seem to have. So there were two. Um, and yeah, so yeah, Northrop Grumman's everywhere. They're super cool. So the packs, the two common problems that I had the most was there's a crackling on the gain pot. I never figured that out. Usually that means that there's DC voltage on there, which there shouldn't be because there's a capacitor on both sides that should be blocking it. It should not be there, and I have zero explanation for why it crackles. And I tried everything I could think of to get rid of it, and I could not make it work. That still keeps me up at night sometimes. The other one is that it seems like I'd imagine it's an impedance mismatch with some other pedals. I've had some people tell me that it's sensitive to where it comes in a chain sometimes, what before or after it. So one thing that seems to help is buffers. So the interesting thing is London Underground didn't have any of the problems that PAX did. They're super similar pedals, but for some reason, London Underground never had the same problems as PAX. And so when I was working on the redesign, I mean, obviously the most common, I think I sold more London Undergrounds with the particle accelerator tone stack than I did with the London Underground tone stack. So people really liked the response of the particle accelerator, just the better low end. So it was a no-brainer to keep that around. But I mean, London Underground was just completely stable. It had zero problems. And so the Underground accelerator, what I did there is I started with the London Underground, and I basically just took all the component values of the particle accelerator. So it has all the stability of the London Underground. It does not have the gain pot crackling. And then, I mean, so I've never had any problems stacking my packs, but obviously I don't own every pedal in the universe. So one thing that I've done with the Underground accelerator, and the very first one that's going to get built this month and possibly next month doesn't have this, but something that I want to start implementing is, I keep looking around as if there's a magic circuit board that I can hold up and show you. It's not done yet. But I want to have internal dip switches so you can turn on input buffers and output buffers. And it hasn't been tested yet, so it's still just an idea. But a buffer either at the beginning or end, depending on what the pedal is next to, should solve any problems that it will ever have. So I guess the big changes are it's going to have the stability of London Underground while keeping the same frequency response of particle accelerator. It's going to have switchable input-output buffers, and then not really a complaint, but another comment I get a lot is that the output is really, really hot. So I also am adding an internal trim pot as like an attenuator for the output. So it's going to have, so if you don't want buffers and you don't want the attenuator, you will still be able to take those out of circuit. But if you do want those, then I want to have those features, because I want this to be, I want the Underground accelerator to be the future-proof version of the particle accelerator. I want it to have all the options that anybody could ever need. Hey Brad, how's it going? But yeah, I want it to be the be-all end-all version of that preamp. I want this. I don't want any more problems with it. So I've just every fix that I could possibly think to throw in there, I threw in there as an option. So again, it can be turned off if you don't want that option. So you can still just run it without if you don't have any of those problems. But I designed it to be able to take care of any problem that should come up. Period. That's so I really you'll notice as we continue here that I really like talking about pedals, and so I just keep talking. So if yeah, I'll say the same thing over and over. I just get really excited. So yep. Okay. Trying to find a legit use for Westinghouse on guitar. Oh man. So Westinghouse on guitar, uh, it makes a good clean boost. I've played with it as a clean boost. Like at the end of my chain, I just switch it on for solos and stuff like that. It makes a really nice fat clean boost. You could also stack it before another overdrive to boost the gain. I haven't done it much with that. That would actually, I'm trying to think about what's on my board right now. I'm wondering, so the Klon, I have a love-hate relationship with the Klon. I think it's a really cool pedal. I hardly use mine ever, but I like using clean boosts in front of my Klon to push the Klon to drive harder. And I'm wondering how the Westinghouse would do with that. That would be kind of interesting to find out. Because the Westinghouse is really fat sounding. It has a really nice low frequency response where the Klon cuts a lot of that low. So I'm wondering what a nice fat clean boost in front of something like a Klon would sound like, where you're taking a low heavy boost and boosting a low lacking overdrive to see if it would just fatten up the overdrive. So I'm wondering how that would sound. So Westinghouse, I guess, wasn't specifically designed for bass, but it also was designed more for bass than it was for guitar. So I could definitely see it being less useful on guitar. But yeah, running it in front of another overdrive, especially like a solid state overdrive, I think would be interesting. So yep. Echosaurus is great. I love the Echosaurus. Yep, it is. So delay is one of my must-have pedals on guitar. I have to have delay, and I've tried a million delays, and there's a lot that I like, but the Echosaurus has just been my favorite. I haven't found anything that I like better, and that also it does a lot of things that I don't need. I'm a pretty simple guitarist. I mean, I'm a hack of a guitarist. I'm not. I'm pretty mediocre, but it has a lot of things that aren't practical to use, but are just fun to play with. I really like pedals like that. I don't have a lot of them, but you know, they're just fun. All right. Any other questions, or should I just go into my life story? All right, no more questions. Life story it is. So, yeah, as I said, for those that joined in late, I've got a good half dozen people watching. Cool. So, Nathan, there's a client. Oh, yes, LPD is excellent. Any timeline on DI? Oh man. So, not gonna lie, every now and then I just forget that DI exists. I completely forget to do it. I have. There's screws on that. Hang tight real quick. I'll be right back. Plans on updating older packs. Let me come back to that. So DI. So the big problem I'm having with DI. So this is my typical enclosure. This is the one that everybody likes with the top jacks. So this is the Lightning Boy DI transformer. I really like these. I have my I built a pedal that has both this and the Jensen transformer, and I have a switch so I can go between the two. And I like it's really subtle. They're both really good, and the difference is subtle, but my ears like the Lightning Boy better. But anyway, the problem I'm having is that if I were to mount this on a circuit board, it's just too tall. I mean, it's like it would have to mount. So the circuit board usually comes to right about there. So it's like sticking out the top. So I have to find a way to fit it sideways in there, which I could do if I just design another circuit board to go there and then have like right angle header pins that go into the circuit board. So that could sit right there. But the big problem there is that then you throw a tube in and like the box is full. So I'm either going to have to make like a small circuit board to fit the tube next to it. I mean, that could work. It could work. It could work. So DI, so timeline was your original question there. Timeline on DI, man. I don't have a specific timeline on DI because I don't have a specific timeline for anything. Man, when do you want it? How about next year? Can I promise it by next year? Come January, this is official because it's on the internet. January 1st, 2022, I will have a DI by then. You can quote me on that because it's on the internet. It'll be without a foot switch. So that's actually a really good, that's a really viable option. That's absolutely doable. That would, and that's, yeah, because when are you going to turn off a preamp when you're running DI? Yeah, if you're running DI, it's going to be always on anyway. I mean, Noble doesn't have a foot switch, does it? Noble doesn't have a foot switch, right? I haven't looked at a Noble in a few months. I don't think it does. Yeah, because if you're running a preamp with a DI, you don't really need a foot switch. So I could make that work. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So no foot switch. Yeah, I'll make that work. So by December, that's final. By December, I will have a DI preamp ready to go. I'll clarify what ready to go means at a later date. Okay, thanks, Bert. I didn't think it did. Okay, back to plans on updating older PAXs. So that's tricky. Updating. Depends on what you mean by updating. So, oh man, that would be tricky. So I'd love to do that. Sustainability. So I've done that before. But the underground accelerator, so the biggest problem with upgrading old packs is in the past when I've done a revision of the PAX circuit board, I've started with the original PAX circuit board, but for the underground accelerator, I start from scratch. So the hardware doesn't line up. So the mounting holes are going to be different. But, oh man, I really shot myself in the foot starting over from scratch there, didn't I? Okay. I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. Let me find out how close it is, because it might be close enough that they would still fit. Actually, hang on again really quick. I'm going to keep, so that door behind me there, that's the workshop. So I'm just going to keep running back and forth between here and the workshop. So just a second. So, for those of you that are here, you get the sneak peek at the underground accelerator. So this is the production version of the underground accelerator. I soldered it up the first one last night, and it works, and it sounds great, and I love it. I mean, it is. You'll notice that this one does not have the input-output buffers, and it does not have the attenuator, because I thought about that, and it was too late to change the order. So I have a batch of 20 of these without those, and then once those are gone, I will go to the new versions. But I'm curious. Yeah, they're just, it's close. I mean, I'm looking at where they line up. So vertically, the knobs line up, but the spacing is a little different. I spaced out the knobs a little differently. I wonder why I did that. Oh, because I felt like it looked better. Yeah. Whoop. My microphone slipped. Whoop. Sorry, my microphone slipped. There we go. Tighten that a little better. Okay. So, um, the big question is, so when I drill the holes in the enclosure for the knobs, I oversize them a little bit just in case the board needs to wiggle. So I'm wondering if the holes are big enough that that you could still fit the underground accelerator board in there. It would be close for sure. It would be super close. So maybe that's my final answer on that one is maybe, because it's. I would love to offer that. I mean, I just want everyone to be happy. I would love to continue offering that. But yeah, like Brad said, well, and man, I hate saying you have to sell this and buy the underground accelerator. But yeah, there are still people that love the particle accelerator as is and continue buying them. I mean, I see them go up for sale every now and then on Talkbase and on Reverb, and they always sell fast. Well, thanks. I'm glad. Yeah, my brain works. My brain usually works. What is my take on the Line 6 Stomp? Who is it the future of pedals? Oh man. So, my opinion. So my opinion is no. My opinion will always be no. I mean, I don't. So, man. So before I started building pedals, I knew almost nothing about them. Ironically, before I built my first pedal, my pedal board was what did they even call that? It's like the Vox Tone Lab. It was this monstrous digital effects. It had a tube in it. If I remember right, the tube ran like 36 volts on the plate, so it was a low voltage tube. It was basically a glory tube. But the effects sounded like garbage. They were garbage. So the Stomp, it gets close. That's the big thing is so like the Stomp. I mean, this Stomp, Kemper, Axe FX. So what they do, I've been really impressed with. I mean, the progress that has been made in digital effects in like the last 10 years or so is incredible. I mean, it's so close. I mean, I met a guitarist a few years ago, like probably the most talented guitarist I've ever met, and his main rig was an Axe FX, and he plugged it in and showed it to me, and he said, "Yeah, you totally can't tell it's not a tube amp, right?" And I was like, "No, I can tell it's not a tube amp. It sounds good. It's really close, but I can tell it's not a tube amp." And so they're getting closer and closer, but they're just not quite there, in my opinion. And I don't know if they'll ever get there. I mean, I'd love to. I love the and I can't remember Dumble. He had that interview where he talked about the crystal lattice, and I'm not going to get weird like that. But there is even order harmonics versus odd order harmonics, if you want to think about it mathematically. I mean, transistors don't clip with even order harmonics; they just don't. So that's part of it, but it also just like it's. I have yet to hear a very convincing tube emulation. I mean, they're getting close, but I just haven't heard anything that's 100% there. And so as long as long as tubes are still available, I don't see it ever getting away from it. I think the Stomp is an excellent piece of gear. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially because 99% of musicians are not playing stadium shows where they have roadies and techs setting everything up for them. So if you're playing a bar on the weekend and you have to pack your own gear in and do your own sound, I think a Stomp is great. I mean, leave your amp at home, leave your monstrous pedal board at home, just to have one thing to plug in and you're good to go. I think it's excellent. Is it 100% as good as the same sound? No, it's not. But is it 90% there at like 10% of the inconvenience? I think it is. I think so. I think for the average gigging musician, I think that they're great. Um, but as a non-gigging musician, I'll never get rid of my tubes. Um, so yeah, my story about my bandmates, man, those guys were frustrating. So one of them said that he did want to hear my Mesa preamp once I got it ready. And it's the band kind of broke up before it was ready, so he never got to try it. But yeah, every now and then I'd be like, "Hey guys, if you ever want to try out a preamp, um, just let me know." And I mean, we were practicing here, and I can't turn my camera, but I literally have 3 shelves full of pedals over there. Most of them are mine. I mean, so most of them are preamps. I'm like, "Hey guys, if you want to plug anything in, it's right here." And they're like, "Nah, we're good." So it was a little frustrating. And then for our last show, we weren't able to find a bassist because our bassist quit, and were never able to find a replacement. So the singer played bass for our show, and he said, "Yeah, I'm thinking about borrowing a preamp." And I was like, "Yes, great, borrow a preamp." And then he changed his mind and he just ran through his stomp, and it sounded fine, but it could have sounded better. Anyway, uh, what is the space heater based off of? So the space heater was a happy accident. I love the space heater. I keep one on my board. So the space heater is actually based on the particle accelerator. I mean, basically take the particle accelerator, take out the tone stack, and that's like 90%, maybe 95-ish% of what the space heater is. I mean, it's a typical Fender input stage, and then I actually use the interstage gain control I borrowed from the Orange 8200. But the input stage and the output stage are just they're just the typical Fender stage like I have in the particle accelerator, except I changed one of the capacitors to let more low end through on the difference. But yeah, and then I threw it together on paper, just thinking like, I wonder how this will sound, and I got a prototype, and I was like, yeah, that was cool. So yeah, it's still kind of based on both the particle accelerator and the London Underground. It's I mean, it's the condensed version of the Underground accelerator. Just take the Underground accelerator, take out the tone stack, and that's it. 100% right there. So, yep, that's the space heater. But yeah, it's weird that it's I mean, I started with the particle accelerator, but it doesn't have any of the problems that the particle accelerator has had. So I love space heater. I think it's been I mean, I've had a few I need to yeah. So I've got a few pedals that people have had issues with. I mean, particle accelerator has probably had more. Um, but yeah, space heater is one that I have never heard anybody have problems with, except that it's really, really loud. Um, but yeah, other than that, I've never had any issues with the gain. The gain pot doesn't crackle. Never heard of any issues of it having to be in a certain order, playing nicely with other pedals. The space heater is just perfect. I mean, it just somehow ended up to be perfect. Um, so underground accelerator, no attenuator. Is it still reasonably capable of unity gain? Yes. Oh no, it's not. It's not crazy like the Watson. No, the Dr. Watson, man, that was yeah. I don't know why they did that. But yeah, so the underground accelerator is in the same boat as particle accelerator and London Underground. You can still get unity gain out of it, but obviously you can get a lot higher than unity gain if you want to. Um, so yeah, it's the attenuator is for I don't know if you want an attenuator. If you feel like your pedal should be quieter. I've never felt like my pedal should be quieter, so I've never thought to add that in the past, but I get it. So it's something that I'm starting to add. So space heater is going to have it. Underground attenuator is going to have it. Dr. Watson. So the new Dr. Watsons are going to have the volume mod that I've been adding into these ones. I've added that into the design, so it's part of the board now for the new ones. But I'm also going to add the attenuator on the output of that one. What else needed the attenuator? Sunday Drive was okay. JCMR was okay. I know Dr. Watson, Space Heater, and Underground Accelerator were the biggest ones that I felt needed the attenuator because those are the hottest. Let's see. While we're on the topic of that, a couple other changes I'm adding. What else am I changing? So slam peg. I love slam peg. I mean, that is I'm not a bassist, but when I play bass, I always grab slam peg. That is the tone that I like. But slam peg has the opposite of underground accelerator, where it's quiet. I mean, fully cranked, it gets above unity, but not a lot above unity. So I'm actually adding a MOSFET boost, or a switchable MOSFET boost on the end of slam peg. So if you don't need it, you can keep it off. But if you want slam peg to drive a power amp by itself, it'll be able to do it. So that's I'm using the same MOSFET for boosts and for buffers. It's what's the part number of that? It's like LND 150, I think. It's a high voltage MOSFET. So I don't have to. I mean, you're not running like a 235 volt tube preamp just so you can drop it to 9 volts to run it through your MOSFET on the output. It'll be a MOSFET running at 235 volts as well. So that seemed like a good option. So slam peg will have the boost on the output. I'm trying to remember if I was thinking about adding it to deep dish, and then I decided I don't really want to, because it's a compressor. It's not supposed to be a boost. It will already get above unity, but it doesn't need to like blast the output because it's a compressor. So anyway. I think slam peg's the only one I decided to add the boost to. Anyway, I'm talking too much and not drinking enough. Ideally, this would be water, but the water doesn't have enough high fructose corn syrup in it for me, so I drink soda. All right. Candy Red PA. Yeah, I love the candy finishes, but they just, I don't know, they never sold very well. So before I had the sparkle finishes, I've offered candy finishes from the beginning, and 90% of orders were matte black. So the candy finishes I just got rid of them. Candy purple, I think, was probably the most popular one. People liked the purple, but then when I got violet sparkle, people stopped ordering the candy purple and went for violet sparkle. Tell me about your choice of a new guitar amp versus a Fender reissue or a deluxe reverb. So Matchless is Labrat X. I'll get to Labrat X. So Matchless has I discovered Matchless. Geez, what year was that? 2014, something like that. I discovered Matchless, and I mean, part of it, I'm sure, was just the demos that I heard. And then I found out that some of my favorite musicians played Matchless. And then I think a lot of it's just the name, Matchless. I mean, there's no match for them. And so Matchless just stuck in my ears, and that was just the sound that I wanted. And so I built I mean, I love the internet. You can get schematics for just about anything. And so when I was in college, I built a clone of the Matchless Lightning, and I love it. It's still my main amp. It's been running for 6 years now. But the Matchless DC30 has been my dream amp, but it's a real one's about $4,000. And my wife has informed me that I will never own a $4,000 amplifier. So Soraya, for those not familiar, I mean, they do really excellent hand-wired clones of amps on the cheap because they're built in Malaysia. But I've built a couple kits from them years ago, and I knew that they had a DC30, so I just it made sense. And Fender, I have nothing against Fender amps. My big problem with the reissues is that they're circuit board amps, which, as a guy that literally uses circuit boards every day, I shouldn't have an issue with. But I mean, amplifiers are huge, so you can fit a turret board in there. So amps shouldn't be on a circuit board. I think my second or third tube amp, I took out the circuit board and rebuilt the same circuit on a turret board just because it needed to be a turret board. You can't have a circuit board in your amplifier. So that's, nothing against reissues. I mean, they still sound good. I can't pretend that they sound any different. They still sound good. I mean, Fender makes a good amp. Um, I mean, they're great pedal platforms. They're just not my sound. I mean, EL84s first of all are my sound, but then yeah, I guess I've never owned a Fender amp that I disliked. My first tube amp actually was a Fender Super 60, one of the old red knobs. I've never owned a Fender tube amp that I disliked, but I never had one that I really like deeply connected with, and Matchless I've deeply connected with. So that's my spiel on amps. So Lab Rat, man, I love Lab Rat. It is. I have one on my. Well, actually, I guess you can see my board. It's not on a board yet, but I'm planning out my board. I have a Lab Rat or Lab Rat X over there. I love it. It's so the first Lab Rat was built in 2017. Back when I knew almost nothing. It was really fun. But I made this thing that worked. It was really cool. And I was excited about it. This was back when nobody knew who I was. I think I had maybe like 80 followers on Facebook, and no bassists had ever heard of me. But it was a really cool sounding pedal because I've always loved the Rat. I mean, it sounds really good. And so the Rat has it's the LM308 op amp, and then it goes through clipping, and then it has a MOS or a JFET output buffer. And so what the Lab Rat does is it gets rid of the JFET and replaces that with a tube output stage. So even without the boost off, I need to explain this better on the website because apparently people have been confused about that. But even with the boost off, you're still going through the tube because it runs through the op amp overdrive first, but then it's still output through the tube. The tube is the last stage of the Lab Rat. And then obviously you have, I mean, the 12AX7 is two stages. And so one of the stages is the output for the overdrive, and then the other stage was left over for the clean boost. And so I've always liked it. It's a really cool pedal. I mean, it's the only 2-channel thing I have right now. Oh, well, 2-channel. And no, it is 2-channel. Well, I guess unless you count Sunday Drive, but I'll count Sunday Drive. Yeah, I count Sunday Drive. But Lab Rat, it's really cool. I love it, but it's never sold very well. I mean, the people that have bought it have really liked it, but it just hasn't sold that well. And frankly, with 2 foot switches and the small box and the tube, it's the hardest one to assemble right now. I haven't let that affect the price because I don't like raising prices. But it does take more time to put together. And then, like I said, it just hasn't sold that well. So I'm going to let it go. And if enough people get upset about it, I'll bring it back because that's the way I do things. I don't like saying no to people. But yeah, I'm going to let it go for now. So I have a big list where I'm redesigning everything, and the Lab Rat is not on that list. So, yep. That's Lab Rat. Really cool pedal, but just not as popular as the Slam Peg or, anything else. But it's a neat pedal. I'll keep mine. It's going to stay on my board. But anyway, that's it. Candy Green. Yeah, the Candy Green was a neat finish that nobody seemed to order. The Cali edition. Yeah. I don't think I have any California edition pedals left. I'm trying to think. Making a dedicated bass drive pedal. So Black Eye doesn't cut the low end as much as I expected it to, but it's still definitely designed more for guitar. A dedicated bass drive. Sure. So, yeah, I think about it every now and then. I mean, what would you want it to sound like? Yeah. That's the tricky thing, is just like picking a direction. I mean, just saying like, I'm going to make a drive. Like, what is it going to sound like? Where am I going to start? What's it going to be based on? How's it going to be voiced? Like, how many stages is it going to have? How am I going to set up the stages? I guess I need to do some more market research on that one. Kind of figure out like what, because so Black Eye on guitar, Black Eye is hands down my favorite pedal. Black Eye will never leave my board. I absolutely love it. The only thing that could kick Lab Rat off my board is if I built another Black Eye and just had two Black. But I don't know. So, I mean, my opinion, obviously, as a non-bassist, I think Black Eye has way too much gain to be a bass drive. If I were going to do a bass drive, it would have less gain than Black Eye. But at the same time, Black Eye would probably be a decent place for me to start. I'd probably take out, so Black Eye uses all 4 stages for gain. I would probably drop it to 3 because I think 4 is excessive. And then I could have the 4th stage as an output buffer, because you want to have an output buffer so it plays nicely with whatever else is down the chain. Okay, yep. Just designed a bass drive. Done. Yeah, so thoughts on making a dedicated bass drive pedal? There it is. That's my thoughts on it. I would start with a Black Eye, drop the gain, and then shift the frequency response so it's better for low end. That would be it. Doable. I should be taking notes. That's what I should be doing. Do I have a pen? I don't have a pen. Sitting here at my desk. Hey, there we go. All right. I'm going to write stuff down. So what was I just saying? Black Eye based drive. Oh, any new designs in the works? Kind of. So I did mention earlier, well, so I mean, frankly, everything is being redesigned. So I have those new designs in the works. But as far as like new fresh pedals, so I do have I'm going to be working on the tube version of Echosaurus, tube version of the successor for Robot Butterfly. So those are going to be new. Other than that, well, Gondwana is still going to happen. List. So basically, once I finish all the redesigns, so if the redesign's done for the current pedals, the next thing for me is Gondwana. I want to spin another prototype for Gondwana. So it's gonna get more expensive because Gondwana, I'm gonna take a tangent. We're gonna talk about Gondwana. So right now I still have it over there. I'm gonna grab it because I like visual aids. Hang on. So this is Gondwana Phase 3. It works. It sounds great. I mean, it's everything that I want to. So I guess it's not a full, like, ready to go. I mean, one box fits all. It's not your one-stop shop for your whole pedal board, but it's a very good sounding tube-based IR loader, and it works. The only problem is that I have digital noise leaking into the analog signal path. And so what I need to do, so circuit boards, most circuit boards, the circuit boards that I use, most pedal circuit boards are 2-sided boards. You have a top and a bottom. More complicated boards, you have internal layers. And there's a lot of reasons to do that. And I think that's what's going to need to happen with Gondwana. I'm going to have to go to a 4-layer board instead of a 2-layer board. So it's more expensive, but it's just a better design. And I mean, for digital design, which is what I'm getting into with Gondwana, it's really the safe way to do it because you have your signals and your ground routed together. You have your signals on top, signals on bottom, and then you have your ground in the middle. And so that acts as a shield, so you don't have any noise leaking into your signals where they're not supposed to be. So that's what needs to happen with Gondwana, and that will hopefully happen. I don't know. It will happen. maybe in a couple of weeks I'll get around to that design and hopefully get another prototype. So I still have no idea when Gondwana is going to be released, but I'm hoping to have another prototype in the next month or two. So that's that. I guess I could continue answering the question as for new designs in the works. I've had more than a couple people ask about a fuzz. Um, I am very seriously considering a tube fuzz, um, to the point where I have a lot of things that I've already designed in my head, and I just don't have them. I don't have them written down yet, but I already know exactly what the circuit is going to look like in my head. I just need to put it down and do a circuit board layout. So I do have a design for a tube fuzz. I want that to happen. I'm thinking I might do that as a limited release, just initially, just build up a handful of them and sell them and see what people think. Um, and then based on that, I can decide if it needs to be changed, or if I just go straight to mass production from there. So a tube fuzz I want to happen. I think that would be cool. I'm looking up at my to-do list. I have a whiteboard above my computer. So tube fuzz, tube big muff is one that gets mentioned a lot. I might do a tube big muff. I don't know. That's just such a weird idea. I'll think about it. Tube delay. I'm doing the tube version of Echosaurus. I'm thinking about, I haven't talked myself into it yet, but I'm thinking about doing a tube driven bucket brigade delay. So it would be an analog delay with basically a tube preamp sandwiched around an analog delay. I thought that would be kind of neat. I still have Octopus compressor. I really want that to happen. I want to stop making deep dish, and I just want to make Octopus, but it doesn't work yet, and I need to figure out why. I still have a tube tremolo that's supposed to work and doesn't. And I need to figure out why. I know a guitarist would like that. The DI obviously has to happen January 1st. For those that missed that, January 1st, I'm going to have a tube DI ready. And then tube middle zone is probably not going to happen. I could do it. Yeah, no, I'm not going to make a tube middle zone. Although, I'll think about it, but probably not. But also, I'll think about it. What's happening with live music in the Chicago area? I have no idea. I don't leave my house. I mean, it seems to be happening. I see stuff posted online. I'm on a bunch of Facebook groups for Chicago area musicians, and people are still playing shows. I actually just found another band that I might start playing with. So I mean, people are still playing. The Delta variant hasn't really seemed to have affected the music scene much. But there's also a lot of music scene in the suburbs and not like downtown Chicago. Because I know downtown Chicago obviously is where they shut down the hardest, because you have a bunch of people a lot more tightly packed down there. But I know there's always a lot happening in the suburbs. With the Delta variant, I have to, I'm required to wear a mask at work again. We had a few weeks where if you were vaccinated, you weren't required to wear a mask, but now as of Monday, I think, even if you're vaccinated, everybody's required to wear a mask. So that's, it comes and it goes, but music is still happening. You can't stop music from happening in Chicago. Yep. Tube metal zone. How would that work? Hang on. Gonna make a quick detour real quick. I have to look up the metal zone schematic and see where I'd put the tubes. This is important. Okay. No, that's dumb. No, not making a tube metal zone. No, stop. All right. All right, cool. Tube metal zone. You people are ridiculous. I don't remember what I was looking for. I was going to pick something up. I wonder what it was. Anyway, here's a particle accelerator. Oh, cool. All right. Any more questions? If, like I said, if questions stop long enough, I'm just going to go into my life story, which is not that interesting. I guess I never really said how long this was going to go for. If there aren't a ton more questions, we'll probably call it an hour and just give it a few more minutes here, because I mean, I still have pedals to build. I'm getting really close on the special edition underground accelerators. I finished all the boards last night. Boxes are done. I guess I just need to finish putting them together now. Vacation, man, it was good. It was pretty good. Who was I talking to? I brought my laptop with me, and I actually got like, I think 4 circuit board designs done on vacation. And I was talking to one of my friends about it, and he was like, "Dude, just put it down. Just be on vacation." And I'm like, "This is what I want to do, man. Leave me alone. I'm on vacation." And so it was really good. But no, I went to where did I go? Jeez. So Utah mostly. So I'm originally from California, but both my parents are originally from Utah. So we have a family reunion out there once a year, and we didn't make it last year because we were in the process of moving across the country. But yeah, had a family reunion. Went up to Bear Lake. Did some, you know, I'd say swimming, but I didn't swim. Jet skis, lots of jet skis. So it's like guitars, airplanes, jet skis. So it's like, I love jet skis, man. Jet skis are fun. But yeah, vacation was good. It went by too fast. But that's the nature of vacation. I used up 100% of my accrued paid time off at work. I literally have, I think, 1.8 minutes of time off available now. So I won't be taking any vacations for a little while. But it was worth it. It was good. Had a lot of fun. Put a lot of miles on the car, but that's what you do on vacation. Anyway. Oh. Man, I have so much stuff to do. I'm looking at my camera feed in the screen, and I see that amplifier behind me. That guy. It's broken, and I bought it off a guy for $50. It's a 1967 Gibson Kalamazoo, and I have an ongoing listing in Facebook telling people that I'll pay cash for broken amplifiers because I like fixing amplifiers, and now I just have a bunch of broken amplifiers and I don't have time to fix them, so I've had to pull my ad. Man, I want to fix that amp. I hear they sound really good. I haven't heard it yet. I still have to fix I posted this a while ago, but I bought a 1971 Ampeg B25. I haven't finished fixing that yet either. I need to do that because I got my new cab. I traded some pedals for an Eden 6x10 cab, and I'm really excited to hear the Ampeg through the Eden cab, and I haven't yet. So that'll happen. Once people stop ordering pedals. The bass back there. Well, which one? I've got 2. I'm hiding the other one. Oh, turned it the wrong way. There we go. So the yeah, it's gonna get a full recap. It looked like it had some work done. Some of the caps were replaced, but the basses. Yeah, I can talk about my instruments. Where's my finger? This is really hard because it's mirrored. I'll just go grab them. Hang on. So this was my first real bass. It's an Ibanez SR500. Bartolini pickups. I'm in the process of replacing all the hardware. I just need to get those knobs and that switch. But dark brown guitars with gold hardware are kind of my thing. And I love it. I've got flat wounds on it right now, but I'm gonna be. They're kind of old, and I think I'm gonna go for the. I really like the. Somebody recommended the. What are those? The Labella tape wounds, and I really like tape wounds, so I think I'm gonna put tape wounds on there. So there's that guy. But this one is my new bass. So the body was just made by some guy I found online, and the neck is just a roasted maple Fender replacement neck, and then it has Nordstrand pickups, and then the laser engraved pick guard, which I made myself. It's aluminum, actually matte black powder coat, because I have matte black powder coat lying around, and I really like it. It just sounds so good. Like the Ibanez, I really liked it. I'd actually bought right before I bought the Ibanez, I had bought a Spectre the day before, a brand new one that I'd ordered. It was the Spectre. What was that called? It wasn't a super high end one. It was like $400 or $500, but I'd special ordered it, and it came in, and I took it home, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And then I went back the next day. This is when I worked at a music store, so I was there every day. And they had just taken in the Ibanez on trade, and I plugged that in, and I was like, man, I like this a million times better. And so I brought the Spectre back and traded it in for the Ibanez. So anyway, I thought Bartolini pickups were just like the best, but then and I still really like them. They sound incredible, but man, Nordstrand is just fantastic. This sounds so good, and it plays really nice. It still needs a setup because I just don't have time to set up my instruments anymore. Not that I play my instruments, but they should be set up whether I play them or not. Anyway, yeah, I like it. It's a nice bass. Yeah, that's nice. You guys want to see my guitars? I'll show you my guitars too. So this is basically the same thing as the bass, just in a guitar. Just so semi-hollows. I love semi-hollows. I mean, yeah, it was working in a music store was rough. I kept track of all the guitars that I bought and sold when I worked at the music store, and so I did it when I was going to college, and in the 4 years of college, I had bought and sold 36 guitars. Yeah. Anyway, so this guy, my Strat, because you gotta have a Strat, but I don't like single coils, so it's a Seymour Duncan JB in the bridge and nothing in the neck, because with a JB in the bridge, why would you use anything else? I honestly don't even remember who made the body. It wasn't that well made. It looked like it was finished down to like 60 grit, so I had to do a lot of finish work. But I mean, it turned out okay. Oh, it also just wasn't made very well, so I had to reroute most of the pockets so that I could make the hardware fit. So this is kind of my low-end guitar, but also a roasted maple Fender replacement neck, because the guitar is not a Fender, but I like having the Fender logo on there, and also I love the neck. I mean, Fender replacement necks are just fantastic. I like the feel of the neck. And this is also so this was I think this is a metallic black. This isn't Rainbow Zen, but this is a metallic black powder coat over an aluminum pick guard, also laser engraved, like the bass. So that's pretty neat. And this guy was actually my only guitar for a while, my Telly. So this was made by, I actually know who this is, Renegade Guitar Works in California. And they do excellent work. I mean, this Telly body it took no work at all for me to make this look good. I mean, it was already just super well made, super well finished. And then, I just had to put I got like a kit for stain and clear coat. And then the pick guard is Johnny Cash Ring of Fire that I cut out with a laser. The pickups are, what are these guys? These are Geppetto Camelots. They're wound by a guy in Texas. And they're kind of his PAF clone. And then also a Fender replacement neck, because I like my Fender replacement necks. But yeah, this was my only electric for a year or two, because I had a big collection. I had a couple of Gibsons, and then I sold them so I could buy some jet skis. And then I sold the jet skis when I moved, so I don't even have jet skis anymore. But yeah. It's a good guitar. Still gets a lot of playing because I like the PAF sound a lot. But anyway. So this is what I consider my main guitar, my Gibson. Whoop. So I paid $200 for this guy. And it's, as you can see, semi-hollow because that's my thing. I had an ES333, an actual Gibson one. And I loved the sound and I love the neck on it, but I'm a little dude and the big body just felt weird on me. So the Les Paul body is just perfect for my size. And so I knew I just wanted a semi-hollow Les Paul. And basically everything that can be replaced on this has been, because like I said, it's a Gibson. So I took out all the electronics. I put in CTS pots, redid all the wiring. The pickups are also Geppettos from the guy in Texas. He calls these his ghost peppers. They're kind of the hotter ones that he does. Trying to remember who made the bridge and tailpiece. Cluson, I think. And then tuners as well. And then I put a bone nut on it. But plays really nice. Looks nice. When you get super close, you probably can't even see it on the camera, but when you get super close in person, if you look at it from the right angle, you can see that the inlays are actually just plastic. But from a distance, it looks fantastic. I mean, people would believe that this is like a $3,000 or $4,000 guitar. And it sounds really good now. So, yep, I really like it because I don't plan on spending $3,000 or $4,000 on a Gibson. So, I really like having this guy, and this is my main guitar right now. Yep. Not that I actually play, but when I do find it here and there to play, I like having things that feel nice. I've heard good things about Danocaster. I hear they do really cool stuff, but yeah, prices are ridiculous these days. So anyway, put that back. All right, so we're a little after, well, I mean, it's 10 o'clock here. I mean, it's, depending on your time zone, it's any manner of times. But I've been here for a little over an hour. So, I mean, if there's any more questions, I'll take any more questions. And if not, I'll go ahead and hop off here and finish drinking my soda and then go build some more pedals. So any last minute questions? Looks like no. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call it. So thank you guys for coming out. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you learned some things and listened to my voice. And we will talk to you later. We'll do this again sometime. I have no idea when, but, sometime. Figure it out. So, all right. Thanks. Stay loud.